Cheyenne, Dr. Bryant quoted that she's like 10 women in one.
How are both of y'all attractive and all that sex drive is off the chain and y'all still fucking single?
I just need to know who validated that their libido was fire.
In my experience, the people that are attracted to you are not always of caliber.
When she said 10, I was like, get out of here. I do know she ain't got one, though.
If you got the libido of 10 women in missionary, that don't even really count.
There was actually a conversation between Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, who I so love, to be honest, and Joy Taylor, and they were discussing about their high libido and how having a high libido may make it unnecessary for their man to seek out another woman. Because basically, I believe it was Cheyenne, Dr. Bryant quoted that she has 10, her libido so high that it takes, if her man decides to step out, she's like 10 women in one. So there's no reason for him to step out because that's how high her libido is. So the first thing I'm curious to know, is it true? Because they point out their age, being in their mid-40s or early 40s to mid-40s, and how women libido tend to be higher when they're in their early 40s, mid-40s and whatnot. And also, do you believe that this was this an empowering conversation for the women over 40 crowd?
You know, the difference between me and some of y'all out there, like, y'all might think like I'm negative or I don't love black women, but I do. Like, it just be breaking my heart because some of y'all be moving around here and just completely oblivious to what y'all doing. Y'all think some of that shit is cute, and I get it. So then when I have to like speak with love, y'all feel like I'm attacking you and something like that, you know? And plus it's a show. Look at the tag at the front of the show. It's partially entertaining. So if y'all can't read satire, that's a you problem. But the thing is this, right? They're both attractive women. This is like the same thing. It's like a play on from what happened with what's her name? Tracee Ellis Ross. How are both of y'all attractive and all that in a bag of chips? Sex drive is off the chain and y'all still fucking single. That shit was like a fucking commercial, low key. I get it. Sex sells, so she's doing her podcast. Cool, right? Whatever happened to that case with Joy Taylor? You know, the whole little sexual harassment thing. I guess that was swept under the rug because she was disappeared for 2 weeks. Then she came back and now she's doing this. Hey, girl, lean into it, right? Talk about your sex life. Weren't you getting some at work? But listen, the whole point that I'm trying to make, right? Because she was able to leverage her vagina to move up in that way. So I guess, hey, why not leverage it to move up in this way? And here's the thing. Y'all might think that's judgment, but calling a thing is not judgment. Not one time do you hear me say, well, that's messed up that she did that. No, the rest of my co-hosts take care of the judgment department. Me calling out a thing, having the balls to call it for what it is, there's no judgment there. Go back and look at the tapes and be like, oh, no. But what I am pointing out, though, is that let's count the ways. They've been single. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. When she made it to the scene, it was like, oh, look at her, healthy, thoughtful doctor talking about relationships. Now she got her titties everywhere. Is she a doctor or is this a dating show? She's on Pop the Balloon, it feels like, every time I see her on somebody's podcast. Like, what are we doing, sis? You know what I'm saying? After all that advertising, you know, the funnel did not work out. Hopefully you got some leads. What's going on here? I wish for them success in finding love. But let me dispel a couple of things real quickly. Number one, if she did have a libido of 10 people, that still may not be enough for a nigga to still want to step outside because maybe she's just annoying as fuck and the nigga want to change up every now and then. That's number one. Number two, it's no surprise to me. I'm always baffled by how these amazingly attractive, thoughtful, smart women be single and y'all be so quick to blame it on black men. Where's the accountability at, sis? Get you a rose. I'm gonna stop there because I got some more that I want to shoot, but I'm gonna let y'all talk. And depending on what y'all say, I might have to go back here with it. But y'all go right ahead.
Let me go ahead.
I just need to know.
Go ahead. Tell me.
I just need to know who validated that their libido was fire. Like who? Like I need sources. I mean, because she just self-referential said, "Hey, look, my libido was through the roof." Who validated that? And why are they not? Wouldn't they still be there? I mean, if you got the libido of 10 women in missionary, that don't even really count, you know, sis. We gotta stop playing here. it don't count. Stop it.
Holy Christ!
Look, like you say, look, you've got the sex drive of 10 porn stars. You're beautiful. You got the girls out. Where are the niggas that are lining up with your feet to take you off the streets? Where are they?
Can I?
The math is none of this shit is making sense.
I am a single black woman over 40
really
who's degreed. who's single
Yes.
and I have a rose
Yes.
and I got niggas.
Great.
Let's be very clear
Okay.
that the option,
But they don't
they
have
do.
any.
Here's the difference though. The
They,
people that are attracted to you are not always of caliber. And in my experience, I have dated down. I'm married down because why? I'm a caring person and I love a blue collar man. But that didn't get me anywhere in my relationship because there is some intimidation factors at play when you are an educated woman who makes more than your man. When I tell men, yeah, I make this much per hour in what I do, and they're making a 300% less sometimes, right? That puts a person in a position to be single until you find someone who's capable. And so for my experience, I've dated really good men, good partners of all calibers from the bottom to the top, and things have worked. I've been accountable for some of the things I've brought into the table. But what I will say, I've never been so hoity-toity to think that my coochie could keep a man. No matter what my libido, no matter how good it is, because she didn't say it was good. You can have a very high libido with a trash box, right? And
that's what I'm
that's why he's
saying.
leaving. Nobody wants
We're
to
on the
hunt you
same
10
page.
times if the box is bad. But even if it's icky sticky and the greatest of all
It could be a
things,
pancake.
hey, she could be Beyonce. And he would still go cheat because Jay-Z did. And so it's for her to be a psychologist and say something like that to me is like, it must be for entertainment too, because we know better than that. You know that your sex is not going to keep a man no matter how good it is because leaving is a choice.
Now, look,
You
the
shouldn't have to
part of what
advertise
she said,
that.
I did agree with. Yes, the aunties are outside. They are
Yes,
acting
we
up.
are.
Don't have your kids thinking y'all not out here doing, doing some wild shit. Your aunties are outside. So that part I agree with. But them in particular, I don't know. They just, that's not validated. I'm not buying it.
So I just want to point out that in Dr. Bryant's case, she's actually been engaged 2 or 3 times, and she
Here
ended
we
up
go.
not. I'm just saying that there
The
was people
engagement
who wanted,
Olympics.
which I actually disagree with. To me, that feels like folks who are constantly engaged, just like the idea of being engaged, right? They lack the follow through of marriage itself because they just like that chase. And once the chase is ended with that engagement, they probably lost interest. That's the way I
She's
interpret
a
it.
runner.
I'm not saying that's what happened with her, but that's the way I interpret the people who are constantly getting engaged but fail to follow through. I think there was a Julia Roberts movie was made about the woman who ran away from marriage all the time.
Yeah, the runaway bride.
That's what it was, exactly. So, but I will say that while those two may or may not be speaking their truth or whatnot, there are studies that say that women peak in their early 30s through their mid 40s when it comes to sexuality and their libido, because it's not just their sex drive. They feel most it's the confidence that they may have, it's the knowledge of self, because women be masturbating, they be fronting like they don't, but they be masturbating, so they have knowledge of self, and then being comfortable with their body once they're in their 30s and to mid 40s, they're usually pretty comfortable with their bodies, and so that's all part of why they tend to peak in their sexuality in their mid 30s or early 30s to mid 40s. And so I believe there's some validity in what they're saying because there's multiple studies that actually speak to this exactly. And so now as far as the 10, I will agree with Tia that it don't matter if you can have the best bomb ass cooch. And if a guy want to step out, he going to step out, because sometimes someone told me one day that you may have filet mignon at house, but someday you want a burger. And so while you recognize you have filet mignon at the house, sometimes you just got to get greasy with it. And so that could be the situation that is occurring when they stepping out. So I don't necessarily think that it's sex that keeps that man. I think it's actually discipline that will keep that man in that house. And that just depends on where his discipline and his mentality or thought process lies with that relationship, right? And so I just say that I kind of call a cap on what they were saying because when she said 10, I was like, get the fuck out of here. But I don't know. I'm not in her box. I'm not in her room. I'm not a fly on the wall.
Well, listen.
So I can't tell you, but I do know she ain't got one though. And so, or at least the one that she's not bringing out. So I'm just saying, but there is validity in her combo about women in their 40s having a high sex drive. That's valid. There's multiple studies that prove it. So I just want, I saw Nick say listen, so I'm going to go ahead and toss it to him because I do have one more thought, and that thought may be, okay, so cool. So this is what I'm going to say to the women out there and to some of these young bucks men, so we talked about Tracy Ellis a little bit, threw it to her and how she kind of like younger men, she said younger, not young. Younger, ER. So with that being said, I just want to make sure we clarify because some men automatically went to, oh, she would get an 18-year-old herself or a 19-year-old herself. No, she said younger. Now, men tend to peak in their pants around 18. You know what I'm saying? They tend to peak early on in their 20s. And so
I'm about to say
women, you
18.
tend
Come
to
on,
peak
Antoinette.
around 35 and after. Hey, I'm
Y'all
just saying.
maxed out
I'm
early. Maxed out early.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a tendency. So 18 was me being facetious, but to be honest, though, it's in y'all 20s. Y'all tend to peak on sexually, right? And so it's about biology for men, whereas for women, it's more about their confidence level peaking when they're later on in life. And so that's why if you can't handle your woman when she in
You
her
gotta suffer in
30s, 40s,
silence.
then you know what I'm saying? It's because she
She
glowed up
gotta suffer
mentally and
in
sexually. You know what I'm saying? And
She
you may
better
have peaked a little early.
she
You
better
talking
learn.
about let her
She
suffer
better
in
learn to
silence.
Nick's choosing
suffer.
violence.
You said
She
let her
better-
suffer in silence.
I mean, listen.
She better grab that
We be
rose.
moving on to Cialis and
If I
gas
was
station pills.
if I was
Not the
bringing
gas station.
premium peen for the last 20 years and you just wasn't enjoying it the way you should have because you didn't know your body, and now that the table is turned, sorry, ma, you better go to your spank bank and remember the good times. The fuck?
Not going to your bank.
Listen,
Your memory bank.
yeah, you been like, ooh, remember July 23rd and 25? That shit was fire, right? The
That
fuck?
was fire. It was a good day.
I mean, and then on top of that, like, it's in perimenopausal, like right around the corner. I guess the well just wells up before it just runs dry. Huh? It's like, hey, last hurrah, everybody get in when you can. Stop it. I'm sorry.
I think that the joke is that
So-
by
Hey, but
40, you guys have reached your peak libido and that shit starts going downhill.
Hey,
Literally.
listen,
and there's
the-
a necessity for other
you know,
enhancers to help you guys be able to keep up with
listen,
the 10.
listen, I don't normally say this, right? But you know how like you could work and put enough work in to where you could retire, right? And you could live off of that for the rest of your life. Like you can have a legacy. If I don't fuck no more, I'm good.
That's horrible.
Like,
That's horrible.
I'm
Fuck.
not saying that's what
These
I would
words do not
want.
compute.
That's why we
You
stay
clearly-
single
you clearly-
in 40s then. Fuck it.
This is clearly why like some of y'all might still be single because we're from Mars and y'all are from Venus. Y'all don't want to hear or listen. Nobody is saying that's what one wants or desires. I'm saying the amount of work that I put in, it is what it is. God forbid if I am like parallel, guess what? Now, normally I was like, you know what? I might be the type of husband that could stay married and be like, hey, baby, go ahead and get yours out there. I know I can't do it because I'm just going to roll up on y'all. No, I'm gonna just chill, right? I thought that. But then I thought to myself, all this good dick I've been giving out, sorry, it's going to be at least about a 5 to 10 year period where I got to figure it out. And you got to work with me. You got to stay patient. It's like, hey, one day I'm going to get there.
She gonna say it was the grace of God that kept her there with this nigga.
The grace of God
kept me there.
Like, hey, babe, listen, you know what? I want to be able to do this for you, but I'm just not there right now. One day I'm going to get there.
Call John.
I'm just gonna say this is why there's so many pills and so forth on the market for men because their libido decreases around their 40s. That's
Hey, but
why
hold
you have
on.
so many
No, it's
testosterone,
decreasing earlier
Cialis,
now.
Viagra.
Okay, hold on.
Then you have your what's that back in the day? Spanish fly. What was it called?
They doing the honey
No,
packs now.
Let's have a real conversation, right? Because I feel like we never really do, and we can close it out. It's been a great conversation so far, but I do want to say this. Like, y'all act like y'all just gotta, like, it's the pressure is different on our side. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Like
The burden of performance.
the
of
blood
proof.
gotta rush there.
Mhm.
We gotta be able to, you know what I'm saying? And then we gotta have rhythm. We gotta have, you know what I mean? And then we gotta
The core
last.
gotta be.
And then, you know what I mean? And like, I mean, listen, I'm not knocking out y'all don't do stuff, but it's like if you turn the car on, it's like this should be, the car is on. It's not like, you know. So just give brothers a little bit of grace. We've been running around the track. We've been pedal to the metal since we were like 12 a little bit. You know, once we got the joystick, we just been shifting ever since. You know what I'm saying? So where's the grace for us as men? You know what I mean? No grace. Oh, no, but in all seriousness though, do y'all think though that that might be it. Like if a woman prioritizes sex that much, right? And then she wants a man at a certain status and or like let's say, both these women probably they want a guy who's wealthy enough, who's successful enough or whatever, right? And we keep on joking, but there is some truth to what S&M said that men do kind of decline a little bit when it comes to sexually. So when I talk about like women having to make hard choices, if those women had the choice of a man who fit like their other boxes, but sex was just one that it was mediocre. It wasn't going to be what they thought it was going to be. Is that a sacrifice that it was reasonable for them to be willing to make or no? Because if it's not, then what the fuck are we talking about? Is that a reasonable sacrifice? Like if you want, because they both talked about marriage and they talked about fidelity, right? Hey, my sex is so much. So if you're giving your man enough sex to where he's good, but that probably means it's maybe more than he needs, right? But he checks all your other boxes. Is it fair for them to try to figure if they want to settle for that or no?
Well, since we got a gap, because I've had the same conversation with women, Nick, and I've asked them, listen, he checks all the other boxes, but the peen is mid on a good night. But he checks every other
They can't be
box.
mid on a good night. Come on,
It's
give him like
mid.
okay,
Average
go
at
ahead.
best.
Your analogy, go ahead.
Average at best.
Okay.
Do you go with it? And most of the women said, yeah, I would take him checking all my boxes and the sex is mid. Like, okay, cool. All right. So it's a trade-off to your point. But is that a trade-off women are willing to take? Because as the saying goes, some guys are there for the bills, some guys are there for the thrills. She probably is not going to tell you which one you are. She would ideally like to get both of those things in the same man, but sometimes you can't. So which one are you going to pick?
Well, I have a response if that's okay. Similar to the conversation about the ugly girl with the man who wanted another partner, know who you are. If your dick is whack, then understand and respect the fact that I have to go somewhere else to get pleased. Be blessed that you have someone like me who checks off all your boxes. You should feel the grace of God amongst you to allow me to go and deal with somebody else because you are aware that your dick don't work or that you mid on your best night. Because who admits that first? And then like
I was just about to ask.
they don't have to
I'm gonna
admit it.
pull
We
up on
know.
you and say, look, girl, I like you. I just got to warn you up front. I'm mid.
They be like, I got
But
2
I
pumps
wanna
and a
be
shake.
with you.
How can we work
I got
this
2
out?
pumps and then I'm going to sleep.
S&M?
So I was just going to say that I've actually seen some relationships where the woman settled because the guy did check all the box. But the one thing they didn't settle about, if the peen was mid or below average, then the cunnilingus had to be on point. They had to be a pussy eating connoisseur. And then they were able to settle. But if they couldn't get that and the peen was trash, then they weren't willing to settle. They was like, hey, I can work with everything else on the box, but I got to at least get this. There needs to be some satisfaction. And then even for the ones who couldn't get that satisfaction, they actually had a lot of sex toys in play. And then I know there was this one guy, he was hilarious to me, where he was told that his shit was trash. So he went and got a penis pump and started working on building that girth. And I was just like, wait, what? First of all, why are you telling me this? But, I appreciate the fact that he was maybe because I saw the box. But anyways, so I appreciate the fact that he was willing to admit that, he had to go get a penis pump. He was practicing dancing because apparently he ain't have no rhythm, didn't know how to move. So I can see y'all when y'all talk about some of that pressure on you, but I think it depends on the woman and she has to know what she wants in life. If she really wants those boxes checked like that, the lady from God, if she really wants the boxes checked, then by all means, do what you do, And otherwise, I don't know. I'm just thankful for my husband. I ain't gonna lie. I am thankful for my husband.
Aww.
Thank you. So.
I do want to call back before we give some final thoughts because you did mention Tracy Ellis Ross, and what I didn't realize at the time that I was the younger man. Right? I was like, wait a minute, how old is she again? Because I was like, damn, Tracy. I was so caught up in the breaking heart part that I didn't realize, like, low key, I might be like enraged. You know what I'm saying? Like, I even talked to the wife. She was like, hey, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like. That's a whole different story for a different day. I'd have her wanting to get married for real. But anywho, listen, final thoughts in regards. She might be like, I'm 53, put a baby in me. Put that big black baby.
Big black baby in me. Big daddy.